There's a huge difference between someone who says, my version of events is the only way that it happened, and someone who says, what you experience may not be what someone else's experience. Even if one of those is closer to some kind of objective reality, there is still a point where you have to admit that someone else experienced something different, and that has an effect. Even if they were incorrect factually, that's how they experienced it. For example, one time an ex-girlfriend of mine said, hey, we need to talk, and I instantly tensed up, got defensive, and thought that she was yelling at me. That was a trauma response, and it had absolutely nothing to do with what she was talking about, which was where we were going to go on Friday for our date. Luckily for me, she recognized that I was having a trauma response and realized that what I was experiencing was nothing like what she intended or how she was experiencing events at that time. And we stopped and worked together so that my experience and her experience could come closer together, or at least we could understand where each other was at and how they were feeling things. This is in contrast to the person who will sit there and argue with you that their experience is the only one that counts, that their version of history is the only one that matters, that their understanding of events is the only one that exists. It is a small, subtle distinction, but it is extremely important. To keep with my example, my girlfriend at the time recognized that even though I experienced things differently than her, that my experience was not the same as hers. And likewise, while I eventually understood that what my girlfriend was feeling and intending was different, she still acknowledged that my experience was mine. Someone who sits there and tells you my version of events is the only possible way is starting to gaslight you. And before you start thinking, well, but my memory is that good, clearly my experience is the one that's closest to objective reality, you might want to do some research about how memory works. Our memories are fickle things and not necessarily all that accurate all the time, and that has nothing to do with our intent, our motives, or anything else. The key here is, again, is everybody willing to work with everyone else? Are they willing to acknowledge each other person's reality and experience, even if it wasn't their own, and to work on a way to come together?